Hey, what's going on everybody? Commander Crane here, and we are back with another Pioneer deck tech. This time, today, we're going to be talking about Dimir, Surveil, and Pioneer. Definitely one of the more unique lists I've ever done on the channel. As always, at the end of the video, let me know in the comment section below what you think about the list. What do you like? What would you hate? Is there a card that I forgot? Just let me know. And as always, if there's any suggestions for upcoming deck techs that you have, just let me know in the comment section below. So, alright, Dimir, Surveil. So, a little while ago, they eroded a bunch of cards to have Surveil, because it was, instead of Surveil, it was like, look at the top, X cards, and you could put any of them in the graveyard or whatever, and they eroded them all to Surveil. So that means a lot of cards that have the Surveil mechanic or benefit from Surveil all got buffed, which is pretty cool. So we have a Dimir Surveil deck today. Let's kind of go over it. So obviously we have our Surveillers. We have 4 Thoughtbound Phantasm, 4 Dimir Spybug, and 2 Blood Operatives. Obviously, take advantage of Surveil, Thoughtbound Phantasm, 2/2 Defender. Whenever you use Surveil, put a 1/1 counter on it. And then if it has 3 or more 1/1 counters on it, it can attack as though it didn't have Defender. So then it's a 5/5, which is pretty sweet. And then Dimir Spybug, Flying and Menace. Whenever you Surveil, put a +1/+1 counter on Dimir Spybug, which definitely has the potential to definitely get out of the hand the quickest for sure. And then the Blood Operative, obviously, when it enters, we eat a card from the graveyard. And then when we Surveil, we can pay 3 and then return it to our hand, which is pretty sweet. So it's very annoying, very hard for our opponent to get rid of the Blood Operative, which is pretty awesome. So those are our main Surveil benefiters, but we got a couple other cards we got to talk about, obviously. We're also playing 2 Gurmag Anglers. I decided to play the Gurmag Angler just because we're putting so many cards in the graveyard, and then we're pretty easily able to just get a big giant creature out of it, and I decided to just play the Gurmag Angler just because it is the biggest of all the Delve creatures. So definitely very cool to play some Gurmag Angler. We're also playing 2 Otherworldly Gaze. I know what it says there. Look at the top 3. Put any of them in your graveyard. It has been eroded to Surveil 3. Unfortunately, they don't have a printing yet where it officially says Surveil 3, but I promise, it says Surveil 3. Then we're also playing 4 Consider, which one of the newer Considers does officially say Surveil 1, which is pretty awesome, obviously. So good Surveil, obviously able to fill our graveyard, also help, keep the gas flowing, which is fantastic. We're also playing 4 Fatal Push. Obviously doesn't have a Surveil mechanic attached to it, but it's just obviously a really good removal spell. Playing 4 Thought Erasures. Obviously kind of a Thoughtseize effect, but also has Surveil 1, which is pretty sweet. So I definitely like the card overall. I missed this card from when it was in Standard. It was not the most powerful card, but it was always a good card for sure, though. So I really like it in this deck. And then we're also playing 4 Sinister Sabotage, which honestly is just great. It's arguably the best 3-mana counter spell in the entire format, and we just get to play it in our deck, which is fantastic. So that's always a big plus for us. And then obviously our last slide here, we're playing 4 Disinformation Campaign. Definitely a very interesting card. So obviously when it enters, you draw a card and each opponent discards a card, and then when you Surveil, you return it to your hand, which is pretty sweet, obviously. So then late game, we Surveil, comes back, we play it again, draw another card, opponent discards a card. It's very hard for them to be able to actually get any card advantage, which is great. We're also playing 2 Pylon. I wanted another removal spell in the deck, and I decided to play Pylon just because we can hit creatures or walkers, but we also have their Surveil 2, and we can convoke it if needed. Not that we're going to be convoking it a lot for the most part, but obviously the Surveil 2 is going to be great for, obviously, the entire rest of our deck. And then also, this card is just fun. I wasn't sure how good it was going to be in the deck, but I really like it overall. We're playing 4 Creeping Chill. So predominantly you used to really only see this in like dredge decks, that kind of thing, but it still works really well with Surveil, because obviously when it's put into our graveyard from our library, we can exile it and deal 3 and gain 3, which, obviously for racing a little bit, it's pretty huge. If we're playing against aggro decks, it's huge just because obviously it's really hard for them to catch up, because, a Lightning Helix to the face for 0 mana is really, really good. So definitely a big fan of Creeping Chill overall. That's our entire main board except for our lands here, which we're going to go over those right now. We have 4 Watery Grave, 4 Darslick Shores, 4 Clear Water Pathway, 1 Otawara, 1 Takenuma, 1 Hall of Storm Giants, and then rounding it out, we have 2 Hive of the Eye Tyrant, 2 Islands, and 1 Swamp. As our spicy basic lands, I decided to play the Guilds of Ravnica lands, mostly just because, a lot of this deck is from cards based in our Return to Ravnica, like the Guilds of Ravnica set, with all the different Surveil mechanics and things of that nature. So I decided to feature those lands. And honestly, I really like the art on them. They're pretty sweet overall. Richard Wright did fantastic on those. So, okay, that's our entire main board. We're going to go over our sideboarding options here. So, obviously, Hand Disruption. I did put a couple of Thoughtseizes in there just because Thoughtseize obviously is Thoughtseize, and Thoughtseize is fantastic. I've got some removal too. So, for instance, like Languish is really, really good. Raven Feeblement also is really good, if you want a little bit more target removal, depending on your local metagame. If there's like a lot of humans or Greasefang, Raven Feeblement is very, very good as well. And then I got Silver Bullets. Necromentia specifically is very, very, very good. If our opponent's playing like a combo deck and we take part of their combo, then essentially they really can't combo anymore, which is fantastic. If you want to know the exact sideboard that I'm playing, I have the link for the deck in the description below if you'd like to check it out for yourself. Everybody's metagame's a little bit different though. So, whereas like a card might be really good in my metagame, it might not be as good in someone else's metagame. So don't be afraid to change it up. If you really need some hate against Blue-White Spirits, don't be afraid to play something for that. This is just kind of what my local metagame is calling for, and that's what I decided to play in the sideboard overall. So we've got one more slide to talk about though. We're also talking about the budget options. I get a lot of people asking, oh, hey, like this non-budget deck, how can I make it budget? So this is essentially what I talked about here. So Pain and tap lands. So, instead of playing like the Clearwater Pathways and the Watery Graves, the expensive dual lands, swap them out for some Pain and tap lands. Tap lands, I would say the best option is probably either Sunken Hollow. You could play the Temple of Deceit. When enters you scry 1 comes untapped. I would say those are the best options. If you happen to have some of the Shipwreck Marshes from Standard, those are pretty solid as well because they do come into play untapped later on in the game. Pain lands are always fantastic. You take a little bit of damage from them, but they always enter untapped, which is fantastic. Underground River is one of the more expensive of the Pain lands, but still, honestly, it's only like a $2-3 card, I'm pretty sure, which is definitely not bad at all. And then obviously I've got Duress over Thoughtseize. Thoughtseize is very good, but sometimes it's not great for our wallets. I know it's not as expensive as it used to be, but you're still looking about $50-$60 for a playset. So don't be afraid to play Duress if you don't have the Thoughtseizes. It's definitely not an issue. Most of the time, the decks that you would bring Thoughtseize in, Duress is very, very good against anyway. So, don't be afraid to go ahead and bring in the Duresses over that. And I wanted to mention that this deck, in the entire way that I built it, that's including the Watery Graves and everything, is only $170. So the budget is very easy to make, especially even just cutting the Watery Graves is huge. If you cut the Watery Graves and the Thoughtseize, you are definitely looking under $100. So I wanted to throw that in there. The deck is really, really cheap if you want to just build the entire thing, which again, the deck list is in the description below. So, alrighty, that takes us to the end of the video. I'd like to thank everybody for watching this video. Definitely was one of the more unique deck lists I built for sure on the channel. Let me know in the comment section below. Is there a card that I missed? I know there's a couple different Surveil cards that I didn't play. Just let me know if you think I should have played any of those specific ones. I'm Commander Crane. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.